The goal of this sprint is for you to see some real-life ways you can get Scrum Master experience right in your own home. You'll see actual cases of my apprentices who use their own goals to gain Scrum Master experience, like looking for a new place to live, decluttering, or even planning a birthday party. By the end of this sprint, you'll have a concrete approach and steps to build your Scrum Master experience on your own actual projects and goals. I'd like to start by introducing you to Paloma, my apprentice. She came to me with great project management experience. She even got herself certified in Agile project management through the Prince Agile program, which is popular in the UK where she lives. But even with all that, she still couldn't get a Scrum Master job, no matter how many she applied for. As we started talking, she told me, "Every day on my way to work, I listen to my favorite Scrum Master podcast. It helps me build my knowledge of what goes on in the trenches. And then every day on the subway back home, I search the job boards for starter Scrum Master jobs to apply to." I said, "That sounds like a good start." She gave me a look and then said, "But Kelly, that still isn't enough. All the Scrum postings that I'm finding want actual Scrum Master job experience, not training, not certification only, and not just the skills. They want the experience. And I don't have that yet. What can I do?" Because of that, she and I decided to build her working Scrum Master experience using one of her personal goals, finding a new place to live. At the time, Paloma and her boyfriend lived in a tiny studio in London. They're both nature lovers and they wanted a bigger place, ideally in the countryside outside of London. So we used that goal and created experience building steps for her to follow. I said, "Okay, start by creating a backlog in Jira." But she protested, "Why should I do a backlog? I already know what I need to do and I already know what a backlog is." This time, I gave her a look. "Yes," I said, "but you learn it better when you actually do it. And it's in the doing it that you gain the experience, not just reading about it or hearing about it in training." So with my help, she created stories like, "Identify my top 3 places to live," and "Find a real estate agent." At our next Zoom get-together, she prioritized her backlog with my guidance. We did it together. Then we talked through the next step, which was to do sprint planning and start executing the sprint. So her boyfriend agreed to represent her Scrum team, since he was, and together they did sprint planning on the top 5 backlog items. They even played planning poker to estimate. Then, with the support of her team/boyfriend, she started the sprint and facilitated daily stand-ups on the progress of find a new place to live in the country. She and her boyfriend even looked at their burn down daily. It was motivating. And it turns out that they had to do an agile adjust and adapt because her boyfriend's office started back to work in person after COVID rates came down. They decided a commute from the countryside would take too long, but Scrum lent itself well to that and allowed them to replan in a flexible way. So their agile adjust and adapt was to shift their goal from living in the country to an apartment near a garden or a park, since they love nature. At our next mentoring session, she closed out the sprint in Jira. Then we looked at her velocity metrics. Pretty good. So Paloma and her boyfriend actually delivered about 96% of what she planned. I asked her, "How is that different from training?" "Totally different," she said. I asked how. She laughed. "I've got it in my bones now, muscle memory. I know what it feels like. I can repeat it now, even talk about it in interviews." I smiled and said, "That's the idea." But she looked a little doubtful. She asked me, "What if it's bad to talk about personal experience in an interview? What if they perceive that badly?" "No," I said, "it's the opposite. I can tell you as a Scrum hiring manager that they'd perceive it as better, not worse. They'd likely think, wow, this candidate is so into Scrum mastering, she even uses it at home. Oh, like a doctor taking her own medicine, Paloma said. Exactly, I said with a laugh. Now it's your turn. Pick a project at home, a real one, that'll allow you to build your Scrum Master experience. Start by creating a backlog of to-dos. A good place to practice that is a free Jira account, but stickies on your fridge work just fine. Then create a Kanban board with 3 simple columns: to do, doing, and done. Then, following Paloma's example, do sprint planning, either by yourself or with someone else. And then start executing the sprint by moving your stories from to do, to doing, to done. So the goal of this sprint was for you to see some real-life ways you can build your Scrum Master experience right in your own home. You saw the actual case of my apprentice Paloma, who used her personal goal of finding a new place to live as a way to practice. And here's a bonus. Feel free to mine actual projects from my apprentices. They've used everything from decluttering their bedroom, to painting the porch, to updating their wardrobe, to planning a socially distanced picnic, to starting an herb garden in the kitchen. Pick something meaningful to you. Don't try to be perfect, and just get started. You can do this.